Alrighty, I shared with you a couple of minutes ago that my guest was on the line, that Dr. Joy Ohayia was there, and she is. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Dr. Joy Ohayia, extremely passionate about health and wellness in all aspects of her life, strives to bring that same enthusiasm to others. Dr. Joy is the host of the award-winning TV show, The Dr. Joy Show, your prescription for total wellness with a focus on physical, nutritional, social, environmental, financial, spiritual, and emotional mental aspects. She is also the host for the new radio show, The Joy of Living, broadcasting on the dial of 920 AM, the Jersey Fox Sports Radio. This show offers parachute for radio listeners, providing relatable wellness experiences to find and embrace their joy. We all have tremendous power. We need to use it. Dr. Joy is a highly sought-after motivational speaker and author of the new book, Pivot to Find Your Joy. That's why she's on with me this morning, because we're going to be talking about that newly released book, and that is a call to action for the readers. They're functioning under conflicting knowledge every day. This quick read offers a new concept to resolve internal conflict, and she's also, and she was on the show for that book as well, the author of Don't Let It Get You, an empowering health and fitness guide for women. My wife is still reading it and still refers to that book. I see it sitting on her shelf every time I walk into the bedroom, so she's still looking at tips from that one. This comprehensive resource is dedicated to helping readers overcome obstacles to health and happiness. In addition, Dr. Joy is featured in Blueprint for Success, Proven Strategies for Success and Survival, alongside Stephen Covey and Ken Blanchard. She holds a PhD, Natural Health and Holistic Nutrition and Healing from the University of Natural Health, a Master of Science and Bachelor of Science degrees in Applied Math and Statistics from Rutgers University and Stony Brook University, respectively. Dr. Joy serves as a Board of Trustees, a member for the New Jersey chapter of CASA, that's a children's advocacy group, and she has received international award recognition as the 2017 Disruptor of the Year, presented by Whole Life Activation, based in the UK, who celebrates the achievements of phenomenal women across the globe. Dr. Joy holds the title of Mrs. Central New Jersey America 2017 and second runner-up to Mrs. New Jersey America, also in 2017. We welcome to the Reading Circle microphones Dr. Joy Ohayia. Dr. Joy, good morning. Are you there? Do we have... Oh, now, there we go. Dr. Joy, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. How are you? I was speaking, I guess it was on mute.
No, you know what it is? Yeah, actually it was in its own way. And I don't know how that button got there, because it wasn't there a couple of minutes ago. So maybe it got pushed by accident. Who knows? But just glad to have you back on the air with me. How's things going?
Glad to be here, Mark. Glad to be here. And congratulations on your continued success with your wonderful radio show.
Thank you very much. Believe it or not, this is the 19th, heading into the 20th year on the air. June will be 20 years.
That's a long time. Many blessings.
And I'm going to tell you, in 2001, when I started, and somebody said I would still be doing it 20 years later, I might have said maybe, but most likely I'd have laughed at them, said I doubt it very seriously. But hey, you never know.
You never know. Hey, God is in control.
Yes, indeed. And it has been a good run. It really has. I've had a wonderful opportunity to meet a whole lot of different people from around the world, and a lot of people had an opportunity to share their work with the listening audience. So, you know, it really does work. All of us supporting and helping each other, because I'm reading in your bio here, you're no stranger to the camera and the microphone either.
No, I'm not. I love it.
I know that's right.
I love sharing information with other people. I call it the shattered glass impact.
I know that's right. And you know, again, and like I said, because over the years I've had an opportunity to network and meet so many different people as a result of this show, because it's interesting in terms of the combination of social media and then saying you're in the media is magical. I mean, no matter how high or low, you know, whether it's local or international folks may be, they respond. So whenever I usually send out an invite for somebody to appear on the show, it really doesn't matter who it is. Usually they respond. So, and like I said, it's been a really good ride. And I see you've just been all over the map. I like to read the entire bios for folks Because a lot of times the guests will say, no, don't read the whole thing. Just read a couple lines. No. I like to read the whole thing because I like folks to understand it's possible. And I like folks to be able to listen to a bio like that and say, wow, if Dr. Joy can do it, maybe I need to get up off my duff and start doing some things too.
That's right.
And so that's why I like to read the entirety. But at the same time, it is impressive. And see, for the listening audience, I know Joy is Joy. I mean, I'm going to refer to her as Dr. Joy because she's earned it. But at the same time, I knew Joy before she was Dr. Joy because we've been friends for a long time. Both of us worked.
Way before.
That's right. Both of us worked together a long time ago. When we were at AT&T together as youngsters. And I mean youngsters. We were like in our 20s at the time.
That was the 80s.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was going back into I started AT&T in 1985, and I was there until 2000. So that was in the mid 80s and 90s. That's absolutely right. And her husband is one of my fraternity brothers. I had the opportunity to actually pledge him. So that's my good brother, Chiji. And the greatest.
He's probably listening too.
I know he's listening. That's all right. The greatest.
He appreciates the shout out.
Because he know the greatest fraternity in the world. He joined it. And I know you with that same one my daughters are with. So I ain't mad at y'all. With them elephants and that white and that red, I ain't mad at y'all at all.
Yes, Delta Sigma Theta.
That's right.
Incorporated. Don't get it twisted.
I know that's right. I got 2 daughters and my former spouse. All 3 of them are Deltas. So I am very well aware of the red and the white, the elephants and all that good stuff. But I know that's right. But some wonderful work. I mean, we tease each other in terms of the Panhellenic, in terms of the Divine Nine, in terms of, but some wonderful works come out of those fraternities and sororities. So I'll tell you what, we're going to move on into our interview in terms of the books. Let's kind of bring the audience up to speed, because you heard me say when I was reading the introduction that Yvette, my wife, she has your book still. It is on one of the shelves in our bedroom, and she's constantly referring to that book. So let's talk a little bit about that first one, and then we're going to work our way up to Pivot. So the first one was
okay.
Don't Let It Get You. And I remember you were on the show a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago. Time goes so fast, but we talked a little bit about that. But let's talk a little bit about that one, and then work your way to Pivot to Find Your Joy.
Okay, so Don't Let It Get You was published back in 2007. Mark, can you believe that? That's like 13 years.
I told you, time flies.
And I was urged to write a book and title it "Don't Let It Get You," because for whatever reason, I kept saying to people, don't let it get you, don't let it get you, don't let it get you. And someone said to me, you know what, you need to write a book and there needs to be a title. And you need to tell your story. So in 2006, I started writing the book. But I need to go back 1 year before that. In June of 2005, I was laid off from my financial services job. And Mark, let me tell you, I was so excited. I was so happy to be laid off from that job because I really didn't like it.
Right.
I mean, money was great. So
right.
I thought back then money was great. Okay. You know, it was able to provide us with great things and sustain our lifestyle. But from a mental perspective, it wasn't the best thing. And you have to be careful about what you think. Not so much about what you speak, but it's also your thoughts, because the mind controls your feelings.
Absolutely.
Your feelings control your actions, and your actions are going to come out and it's going to have results. And I really embraced the fact that I didn't like it. I didn't like the job. I was there for one thing and one thing only, and that was to get that check. And I'm being honest. So I was laid off, and then I remember that day so vividly. And my husband said to me, your frat brother, he said, right. Go home. Yep. He said, go home, take the summer off, figure out what you want to do. Crickets. Because when you have Mark, when you have a lifestyle, you know what I'm saying.
That's right.
You got things going and flowing, and you're doing things, and somebody tells you, don't worry about it. You're like, wait a second, did I miss something?
Right.
And what I missed, okay, obviously, was that his unwavering support for me, and he made it happen. God made it happen.
All right now.
He made it happen.
I know that's right.
So I went on, and right away, I bought a Ladies Workout Express, which was franchised by Lady of America. I formed my company first, and then purchased that workout facility, and it went on from there. And then I started writing a book because I felt as though women, and it's no disrespect to men, because I love my husband to pieces, and I have we have two sons.
Right.
They're my heartbeats. But I felt as though women needed the push and a constant reminder that they need to take care of themselves first.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was, So then that way they can take care of everybody else. Because we wear multiple hats. So that and don't let it get you are the things that would hinder us from achieving our health and happiness at any point in time.
No, absolutely.
So whatever that it is.
And that's so important in terms of what you just said about taking care of yourself first, because a lot of times, it's not that men don't wear multiple hats, because they do, but
yes,
women, I mean, really the expectation, because a lot of times, in terms of being a mom, in terms of being a wife, and then, over time, they used to be back in the day, and they used to call them housewives or whatever, as if housewives didn't do anything, but they did. But then over time, because of the economy and everything else, women now began to work as well. They were a breadwinner as well. So not only were they taking on the household responsibilities, they also were going out bringing home the bacon too. So they were doing the work, they were coming home and now doing, raising the kids and doing so forth and so on. So to your point, and there's always that old story, and I know you've heard it and we've said it here on the air before. Most folks by now probably have heard it. But if you're ever on an airplane, the first thing the flight attendant tells you, if something were to happen in terms of that oxygen mask, they say put on your oxygen mask first, because the natural inclination would be, like if you have a children or somebody sitting next to you, try to get the mask on them. But what they're saying is you can't get a mask on anybody else until you've gotten yours on and you can breathe and you're alive. So it's like I'm hearing your premise here of saying for women, take care of yourself before you could take care of hubby and kids and house and job and everything else. Because if you don't, there ain't gonna be no you to take care of hubby, kids, job.
Exactly, and that was the point. And those I call them its. Some people will call them excuses.
Oh, all right now.
Okay, whatever. But we're gonna change it to a more positive way, because excuses sometimes have a negative connotation.
Right.
So I called it it. Whether it was family, whether it was a job, whether it was time, whether it was lack of motivation, deprivation of sleep.
Right.
Whatever it is, you list your it and pivot to find your joy. It kind of like dovetails, even though it's 13 years later.
Okay.
There's always a solution to your it.
All right. Now
it's your responsibility to find that solution. The right solution for you.
And you're absolutely right. And part of that is kind of even what you said in terms of when you got laid off, in terms of, you know what, I just didn't like that job. Now, part of that, being able to pivot, and I haven't read the book yet. Most of the time, by the time I do the interviews, I've only skimmed them. I haven't had a chance to read them in full. But I
have a personalized copy for you, Mark.
Oh, I know that's right. But one of them has to be in terms of like transparency and being honest with yourself in order to be able to do that pivot. And you said it there whenever you said it, because I know that feeling you're talking about, because my last couple of years, or my last year or so at AT&T, I was there. It was like whenever that last buyout came, I raised my hand for it. And that's whenever I made my transition to education. But just like you said, in terms of perks, I mean, I cannot complain about perks at all. I was traveling. I was doing international travel because I was in international in the marketing. I'm meeting people. I mean, I was meeting people like Jada Pinkett and Colin Powell. And I mean, the perks were there. but it just wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing anything for me inside, and so I know what you mean there, and I'm quite sure, not having read the book yet, that in order to pivot, you do have to figure out, well, what is it that floats your boat?
Yeah, what is it that floats your boat? And to be most at ease, and I say this in chapter 1, okay, the mental and emotional wellness chapter, to be most at ease, it's better to be authentic.
Right.
You know, how many of us wear masks?
Right.
Okay, we need to wear masks now because we're in a pandemic. Actually, we're in a dual pandemic where we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there, right?
Exactly.
But when you're in corporate America, or even if you're not in corporate America, we have this facade. We have a mask on, and it's for protection, right?
Right.
And I can see where that's needed, but then it's also important for everyone to remove that mask and really look at themselves in the mirror and say, who am I?
Right.
Ask that question and then go from there. Because when you're authentic and you're happy with yourself, then and you find joy in yourself, because it's there, Mark. It's everyone has joy. Sometimes it's buried, but we need to pull it to the forefront.
Now, you know,
and when you are authentic, yes, go ahead.
No, go, because what I was getting ready to say, based on what you just said, in terms of you got to love yourself, like, it's amazing how many people don't love themselves.
Maybe they can fix it, though.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it can't be. That's why a book like yours would be so valuable. Because, right. A lot of times I don't even think many people realize that they don't like who they are. It's not a lot do, but I don't think a lot really understand that a lot of their issues stem from the fact that you don't love yourself.
Right. Right. And sometimes, that's the key right there. And in the book, there's a total of 8 chapters. And then I have a message to my younger self, Mark, 20s, 30s, and 40s, which I know when you read that part, you're going to chuckle. And then simple, short advice to my older self is, it's one line. But the 8 chapters focus on the wellness elements that dovetail into the Dr. Joy Show, Your Prescription for Total Wellness. That's the television show. And in writing this book, okay, this is my lockdown, pandemic, COVID-19 baby.
I know that's right.
Because, listen, in 2017, after I published the book, Are We Functioning Under Conflicting Knowledge Every Day? And then I did that TED Talk. My husband says to me, he's always giving me like a project to do, right? Uh-huh. He says to me, Mark, well, why don't you write a book and it's just you, 100%. You talk about, you give your advice. And I looked at him and I said, no, because I don't have time for that. Then in 18, he nudged me again. And I looked at him and I said, I don't, because Mark, you know this, to write, you have to be extremely focused.
Absolutely.
And extremely dedicated
That's
to
right.
that process. And I, at the time, did not have it. And in 19, he nudged me again. And I said, at this time, I said, okay, I'm gonna. And then on December 31st of 2019, New Year's Eve, he says, you said you were gonna, but I didn't see you writing anything. I saw you scribble some stuff. Promise me in 2020 that you're going to get the book done. Okay, I promise. So I started it. I had so much information to pull in, and I started writing, and then lockdown happened, and that's all I did. I focused on that because everything else was shut down. I wasn't in studios shooting any shows. There were no events to go to.
That's right.
No people to meet. You could talk to them on the phone. So my focus was pivot to find your joy.
Well, certainly we had the time, that's for sure, because I was off air from March until September. That's matter of fact, I just told you it would be 20 years in June. That was the longest stint that I had off the air since the show started. In March, whenever
you missed it, didn't you?
I did. I was when I got that email saying, it was clear to come back into the studio. I was so glad I didn't know what to do, because first I said, well, maybe they're not going to call us back. That's the thought.
Yeah, well, we still can't come into studio.
Really?
We still can't come in a TV studio. No, I would have to shoot everything remotely.
Right, you can shoot right.
And I can and have Zoom, but everyone knows that has been a guest on the Dr. Joy show, and even people that haven't been guests, but they watch it. They love that energy exchange between myself and my guests. And I just, at this time, I can't do it.
No.
But I will, though.
Totally understood. Because like I said, I was so glad to get back in here. I didn't know what to do. Matter of fact, I was in the throes of lining up guests. And guests were now calling me saying, what? I said, well, we're going to have to postpone it until we get back on the air. And then as soon as we did, I started, reaching back out to them and then putting things out, for the new folks to come on as well. So I always love your choice of words in terms, because we talked a little bit about when you said you intentionally chose the word it. And for the listening audience, unless you have it in front of you, you probably wouldn't pick up on, are we functioning under conflicting knowledge every day? You probably wouldn't pick up on the acronym or the letters.
That one was good, too.
I have both now. I have both of them. That one I have and the first one I have. So, and then now with this one, you chose the word pivot. Now, I have my ideas as to why you chose pivot, but I want to hear from you. Or did you choose pivot versus another word intentionally?
Well, Mark, the original title of the book was going to be a number, right? And I just held it there. It was going to be a number. It was going to be something mathematical. As you read in my bio, I have 2 STEM degrees, applied math and statistics, right? Yeah, so I was going to do something with prime numbers. But again, the eyebrows were going up when I shared that, and they're like, yeah, well, nobody's going to get that. Only you, because you're the math genius. Okay, so come up with a different title. But I didn't come up. The title was born, and I was about 80% done with the book. Well, I'd say about 70% done with the book. And then all of a sudden, that's why it's always good to have pen and paper or something to write with and a sheet of paper next to your bed.
That's right.
And I guess I was dreaming, and I rolled over and I wrote pivot on my writing pad. And then when I finally did get up, I said, okay, pivot. I'm doing my stretching, pivot. And then I said, wait, my name is Joy.
Right.
People need to find joy. We're in a dual pandemic. Boom. That's how it came up. And Pivot to Find Your Joy, the title was born.
See, there you go. And see, folks, for a pivot, if you know, pivot means a change in direction. And it does not necessarily mean it has to be, a full 180 degree. A pivot could be quick. A pivot could be a half turn. A pivot could be, So what I'm gaining from that title is you definitely going to have to do something. It may not be as large, because a lot of times, Joy, people think, in order for them to change it has to be monumentous. And a lot of times it might be just something small or small steps.
Right. And those small steps, Mark, take them to their big goal.
Correct.
See, that's what sometimes people don't realize. All you need to do is make an inch towards the right direction, and you will eventually cross that finish line.
Correct.
You know how to do a track analogy, Mark.
They did, and that's what I see. Whenever she was in the beginning, when we were talking in terms of when she said she left the job and then wanted to do something in fitness, I was getting ready to interject at that point. When I met Joy, she was athletic. So she was she was track in school and so forth. She was athletic whenever I met her. So it didn't surprise me at all whenever you said you were going into fitness and wellness, so forth and so on.
Right. Yeah, and I'm still hanging in there. I mean, I played golf yesterday, got pickleball today, golf tomorrow, golf on Monday. I mean,
No, absolutely, because, back again to mindset. I'm not one. It's rare. I don't think you're ever going to hear me say I'm old. And it's not to say
Nope.
that I'm not old in terms of, but for me, age is relative. All right. To a 98-year-old, I'm still a kid. All right. So
Absolutely.
age is relative. And my thing is, like you said earlier about the power of words, if what you're constantly telling yourself is, I'm old, oh, I'm so old, guess what you're going to act like, and guess what your body going to start doing?
You're going to be old. But you know what, Mark? I may say that I'm old in case I forget something, because I use that as an excuse, or if I'm on, yes, I might, but it's as a joke.
Right.
It's not as something that's negative.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, and I'm talking more along the lines for the folks that for them it isn't. Because see, for me, my goal, and I've said this numerous times here behind this microphone, my goal is to be 100 and healthy. Now, I'm not necessarily looking to be 100 and drooling or 100 and in the wheelchair, 100 and all that, but 100 and healthy, still being able to move for the most part. But I mean, and again, I say that sometime in jest because I always say, that might be my plan. That might not be God's plan. He might laugh at that. He might say, Mark, you're crazy. But
exactly. 100 is nice. I mean, you make centenarian, but you want to make sure that all of your faculties are intact and your mind is sharp. And this book, Pivot to Find Your Joy, I talk about intellectual wellness and keeping your mind sharp in chapter 5. So for those folks that are wanting to get more information on, give me some quick tips on how to keep my mind sharp, go to chapter 5. It's there. And I tell my story for each one of the chapters too, Mark. So people get to read and get to know me a little bit better, because being a television personality, and I've been told this, and you probably heard this too, as a radio personality, people would think that even if they see you in the street, that you're unapproachable.
Right. No, absolutely. No, it's true.
You can come talk to me. It's good. You can come in and talk. I'll chat with you, because my husband will tell you she talks to everybody. So, but this book, So this book, I tell my story so then people can actually read a little bit about me. They will laugh with me. They may cry with me, and somebody will relate to some of the words that I've written here.
No, absolutely. And what you were saying in terms of the mental, the intellectual, exercise, because believe it or not, we have to exercise the brain the same way we do the body. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a plug in here for Dr. Joy, is one of the ways you can intellectually, work your mind is to read. And so this is a book you want to read.
Yes.
So
get a book you want to read. Get it on Amazon. Get it on Barnes & Noble. Yes.
Make sure you get a copy of Pivot to Find Your Joy. Actually, all three of them. Like I said, if you see the cover on the other one, you'll figure it out. I'm not going to say it here on the air, but if you see the cover, you'll figure it out. Are we functioning? There's the F under the U. Conflicting knowledge, the C, and the K every day. Yes. It's and then
that was only 37 pages.
I know, that's a short one. I have that, but it has the little stick people on there and on the cover. I mean, at least on the electronic cover. I designed that cover. Pivot to Find Your Joy, and also Don't Let It Get You. That's my creative art director, and I have to give him a plug, Joe Tartaglia. He does everything with the Dr. Joy brand regarding logos. All right, now, big shout-outs.
That's all him.
Big shout-outs, big shout-outs. Because I know it's like on Pivot, the color isn't it like green?
Well, it's blue.
It's like an aqua or green.
It's a blue, and then it's green highlights.
Right.
And then if you look at it, okay, Joy, he's a mastermind, I'm telling you. Joy is hidden in the background.
That's right. That's correct.
And then Joy is very vivid on the front cover. So what this says, and then it has the 8 spindles, and each one of the spindles represents one of the wellness elements that I discuss in the book. But you notice that joy, the joy that's in the background is larger. It's faint, but it's larger. And then when you pull it out, yes, it's more vivid, and it doesn't have to be as bright.
See, and there's
deep.
So in other words, it wasn't just happenstance. It wasn't just like pull something out the air. Like it was conscious. It was intentional.
No, we all have it.
Absolutely.
You gotta go dig in there and get it.
No, you're absolutely. But see, that's what I was saying earlier when I was saying you would be amazed. And see, a book like yours might turn the light bulb on for somebody. That might be their aha moment. Not realize, I didn't even realize I didn't like myself. I didn't realize I didn't like, things about me and how, because I tell folks all the time, again, back to the mask analogy or the oxygen analogy on the plane. Right. If you don't love yourself first, how can you expect someone else to love you? And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about cockiness. I'm not talking about all this in a bag of chips type. I'm not talking about that. Just being happy with who you are. And to your point, if you're not happy with it, then make the pivot.
Make a change.
Make a change.
It's okay.
Right.
No one's perfect.
Right. Then there
is no one perfect.
Right.
There is no one perfect.
So, and that's where really, I think folks do struggle in books like yours. Because, see, I'm like a self-help, and they don't even call it, I think they call it personal development now. They've changed the titles of them. But I'm like a guru in those type of books. I read them constantly, of which I highly recommend folks to do that. Because, again, that's constantly feeding something positive into your spirit.
Exactly.
And this like I just said a couple of minutes ago, and I'm going to go back to a point Joy was making earlier in terms of whenever I said it's not an arrogance, it's not a cockiness. And she was saying something about a lot of times for folks in the media or entertainment or athletics or whatever, people feel like you're not approachable. My thoughts on that have always been, well, people are people. We may do things that more people hear or more people see us, but we're still a person. And we
still believe the same way.
Exactly. And we're not immune. We're not immune to anything that happens to anybody else. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the folks that are really up there, because of course, even with this is different levels, but you look like, I know Michael Jackson's are gone, but when you start looking at the Michael Jacksons and the Whitney Houstons of the world, you can see they were not immune to difficulties and trouble. All right. So we're all human beings. So I agree with Joy 100%. Well, you always feel like we're approachable or be able to talk to us or whatever. So the fact that she's now, again, going back to transparency, because see, there's a method to the madness. Going back to transparency and honesty, she's doing that in the book. She's sharing some things about her personally. Oh, yeah.
So then people will know, they can relate to it. It's like, wait, I know someone that happened to, or wait, I experienced this, and this is what she's sharing her story. Okay, so we relate on that on different levels.
Well, see, even to that point, because, all right, even like we were talking about radio TV, but the same goes for authors. So somebody might pick up the book and say, well, who does she think she is to be telling me? And then when you share your personal story,
exactly,
I see now. So she went through this, and this is how she handled it. So you get a chance. Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't just going to be a book of tips because because anybody could do that. Anybody could put together a book of tips. I'm not saying that it's an easy job to be an author. That's not where I'm going. But you can gather tips and put it out there. But what makes this book unique is that I share me.
Absolutely.
And the tips.
And see, I know when I read the bio, it says it has a call to action. Now, we can do this two ways. We can leave the reader we could leave the audience in suspense and say, look, you get the call to action by buying the book. Or you can share with them what the call to action is.
Well, a call to action, we could do both. Because the call to action is basically that they read, but I ask them questions to get them thinking.
Gotcha.
See, I get them thinking. And then based on how they answer their own question, right? That will tell them what to do next.
So it's about some reflection.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's about reflection.
And see, again,
it's about determining what's important in your life. Mm-hmm. And who's important?
Absolutely. Because see, again, one of the things we have to do in terms of making pivots and changes and so forth, so you really do have to just take some time and reflect.
Yeah. And let things go that no longer serve you. That could be things.
Right.
And that could be people.
Absolutely both. One or the other or all. I mean, and for some of us, like now, I'm guilty as a pack rat. I mean, in terms of, I was on my 40th school anniversary, our high school 40th anniversary. We didn't have a chance to do our reunion yet because of the pandemic, but we have a Facebook page. Yeah. So I actually posted on that Facebook page, and I still have my jazz band jacket from high school. I still have my concert choir jacket, and I put the picture on there and said, what other, paraphernalia or memorabilia do folks still have from high school? But I still have stuff going back 40, 50 years ago. I mean, and every now and again, like you said, in terms of decluttering, I'll go through stuff and say, you know what? I don't need that anymore. I can let that go.
Yeah, but something like that, though, Mark, that might be good for your grandchildren to see.
Right.
So maybe you don't throw out the whole attic, but you save a box.
Absolutely. You're right in terms of, and you're right. I was using that as an example, but to show that I can keep some stuff now in terms of keeping some stuff. Because while I have the memorabilia, I also have some junk that just don't need to be in there. It's just there because, I'll always use that and never get around to using it.
Well, then call somebody and tell them to take it out.
Right. And see,
we talk about decluttering in the environmental wellness section.
Right. Absolutely. Because see, again, and before you came on air earlier in the first hour, I was sharing how gratitude clears the way for, more to come. But decluttering does too. Like you can be actually blocking more, of whatever it is that you truly want from you by having all this clutter.
Yeah. And you mentioned gratitude, and that dovetails into spiritual wellness.
There you go.
Which is chapter 8. So I open it up with mental and emotional wellness because in my own quote, I have my own quote, a stable mind is the key to total wellness. If your mind's not right, your physical's not going to be right, what you eat's not going to be right, how you manage your finances is not going to be right, how you live in your domicile is not going to be right. There's environmental. You're not going to be interested in learning new things, okay? You probably will be a recluse, so you're not going to be out there socially or doing different experiences. And then you might not have the stamina or the wherewithal to dig deep to find why you're grateful. So, hence, gratitude is everything, Mark. And I talk about how and now that I think, this was a pivot. It was a pivot, an exercise that a friend of mine gave me, and she's in the book. I mentioned her, and her name is Willa Edgerton Chisler. She was a life coach, and she's a business strategist, and she charged me with one thing. She says, you're about to turn 46. Obviously, that was a long time ago. And she said, I want you to do this exercise. And the exercise is, and I talk about it in the book, write down one thing that you are grateful for every single day, 46 days prior to your birthday. So you know what happens, Mark, when you do something for 28 days, right?
Right, it becomes a habit.
Yeah. So I am up to number 4,000. Let's see, 4,397 entries.
Wow.
Right. Let me tell you something. My gratitude journal, that exercise changed my life. She was a pivot. Her suggestion. I don't want to say challenge because that's saying, well, do this or you really can't do it. But her suggestion was a pivot in my life.
And you see, back to what we were saying earlier about, a pivot versus a full turn. If you notice what Joy just said, she said, the life coach said, write down one thing.
Yeah, one thing.
One. Not 10, not 5, not 6, not 20, not 25. One thing per day. Now, anybody ought to be able to come up with one thing per day. But now you said 4,000 and what?
4,397.
So that tells me you've been writing more than one.
Well, no, I've been writing 4,397 days.
One per day.
Well, usually it's a lot more than one.
That's what I mean. That's my point. Because you said entries. You said 4,000 some entries. That does not necessarily equate to 4,000 days. My point is, she's told you to start with one, and clearly with 4,000, you went beyond one per day.
Yeah, it's 4,300 plus days, Mark.
Days? What? So then it's 365 days in a year.
Yeah. You do the math.
Right, exactly. And I'm talking to a mathematician. So
yes, do the math. Do it. Do the
365 days per year.
Divided by, say, an average of 43, say an average of 4,400. 365 into 4,400. How many years you come up?
12 years.
Yes.
So it's about 12 years.
Bingo.
So 12 years of pretty much not missing a day for the most part.
Not missing a day. When I travel, that is the first thing packed.
There you go.
Not toiletries, not shoes, not clothes. My gratitude journal. And actually, it's not packed. It's on me.
Right.
It's that personal item that's in that bag. Okay, because I can't lose it.
I know that's right. But see, listening audience, the point is, see something as simple as, okay, every day there's got, and I was saying this, and the reason, because this is important to me too in terms of being grateful and thankful. I was talking about it earlier, that to me, there are no sweeter two words together than thank you. And I was saying how there are actually some folks that things are done for them and they don't have the humility or the ability to be humble enough to tell whoever did it for them, thank you. Now, that's not why folks do things for you, but my goodness. And to the point in terms of what we're talking about here now, it doesn't even have to be somebody that has done anything for you. It could be just the fact that, you know what, you're driving down the road and you almost got into an accident and didn't.
Right.
All right.
That's a big one.
Right. How many times have you been like running late or something? You're aggravated with yourself running late. You're going down your route. But about that same time frame of you running late, it would have been about the time that accident occurred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm pulling that one just out of the sky. But in terms of, there's always something to be thankful for. Always.
All the time. The sun came out.
Right.
You woke up every morning. So the way I start my gratitude entry every single day. And I'm going to preface this by saying you fill in the blank with your higher power. I am grateful to, and then you fill in the blank.
Right.
Your higher power, because everybody's higher power is different.
Right.
Because, I am grateful because I awakened this morning healthy to experience a new day.
Right.
And you know what, Mark, with that you're waking up and you're already in a positive state.
Correct. Because
when you awaken, you have a couple of choices. You can wake up crabby. So that means the rest of your day is probably going to go in that direction.
Unless
Or
unless a pivot is made throughout the day. Absolutely.
unless a pivot is made throughout the day. Yes. That is so true.
But you are right. A lot of times how you start your morning off will carry into the rest of the day, unless something really does like just change you, get into your spirit, like something that'll make you laugh, something that'll make you say, "Oh, it's not that bad." But to Dr. Joy's point, there are times when I'll sit down at the breakfast table. And I'm not talking about just grace. I'm talking about just, you know what? There's somebody out there that doesn't have the capability or the ability or the means to sit at a breakfast table. That they can't, as much as they might want to, can't get a bowl of cereal. So the fact that you do, that's enough to say, well, if I can help that person, great. But if not, I am so grateful that I have it. You just can't take things for granted. And so to that gratitude point, that's a big hot button with me as well. So I'm not surprised at all that that's in the book.
Yeah, call to action. Every single chapter, there's little things for people to think about, pause, reflect, and then go do.
And see, and I read a lot of books that way, and a lot of times the authors will say, now look, this only works if you do. It's not enough just to sit here and read the words, right? You're going to have to do something. In order for this pivot to occur, you're going to have to do the work. Exactly. You have to do something. Exactly. So this is another one of those type books. But you know what? Again, that's the type books we need. The type books that causes us to pause and reflect and then go back and say, okay, it forces you, at least it ought to force you, if you want it to work. Because, for that matter, if you don't want it to work, then, well, just read it and put it down. But if you do want it to work, do the work. All right. And again, if you're just joining me, and I know she only has a few minutes to go because she has her tight schedule this morning, my guest is Dr. Joy Ohayia, and we've been talking about her work, but specifically her latest book release, Pivot to Find Your Joy. And it has 8 chapters in there. And she's working on everything from the mental to the physical to the spiritual. She's working on all aspects in order to get you to, being where you want to be. All right. Because this is what I end the show every week, right before I sign off at 9:00, is may you live as long as you want and not want as long as you live. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. So I always encourage folks to, whatever it is you want to get started with, don't be sitting around here waiting, because time is moving on.
Oh, yeah.
And so for the time to be moving on and it moving on with you miserable, life is too short for that. So that's why I encourage you to get Pivot to Find Your Joy. And we're coming down to the last few minutes because Joy has to run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my microphone. And Joy, this is your opportunity to promote anywhere you're going to be, book signings, websites, how folks can get the book. You can say anything with the exception of a dollar amount. Other than a dollar amount, you can say anything you want to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mark, for having me as a guest this morning. It's always fun speaking with you and sharing information that's going to help your listening audience. Pivot to Find Your Joy was released a few weeks ago in September, beginning of October. You can get a copy of Pivot to Find Your Joy on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and some other outlets as well, but those are the 2 main ones. And what I ask that you do is, if you order a copy and you would like me to personalize it, you could send me an email or proof of purchase, and I will send you a personalized message that you can place inside the book. Let's see. My website is www.drx, as an X-ray, joy.com. If you want to know more about me. I am on Instagram at Dr. Joy Ohayia, all one word. I also have 2 Facebook pages, a personal page and also a fan page. And I'm on Twitter as well with the handle of @DRJOYO. And for those of you that want to view some of the previously aired episodes that already aired on television, you can go to a website. Here it is. It's www.vimeo.com/channels with an S, CHANNELS /Dr. Joy, DRJOY. And you will see all of the previous episodes that was already aired on television. And if you want to get the Dr. Joy Show, it airs on Thursday evenings at 6:30 on channels 30 and 45 if you're in New Jersey. Also on the web, also on Apple TV or Roku, and I think Amazon Fire Stick. I was told the studio said that we're on there. And also, let's see, so it's Thursday 6:30 and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. And that's Dr. Joy. I encourage each and every one of you to get Pivot to Find Your Joy. It's a call to action. And trust me, you'll read it, you'll laugh, you'll also cry. It will make you think. But it's a call to action for all my readers. And there's always a solution out there. And remember, a stable mind is the key to total wellness.
I know that's right. Because there, believe it or not, there is, and it's either a book title or a saying or something that says your body hears every word you say. And trust me, I truly believe in that. That's why I was saying that whole thing. I'm old, I'm sick, I'm that. No, I'm not. Yeah. Your body hears every word you say. So Joy's books, Dr. Joy's books again are the latest release, Pivot to Find Your Joy. The other two, we have Are We Functioning Under Conflicting Knowledge Every Day? Oh, boy, yes, we are.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly. The answer is yes. And the first one was Don't Let It Get You, an empowering health and fitness guide for women. All of those are available, as she said, at the various book retailers as well as online, like on Amazon.com or what have you. I encourage you to support Dr. Joy. Grab the books. You will not regret the messages that she has in there, as well as the call to actions. She's given you all her contact information, but again, reach out to her. Her name is Dr. Joy Ohayia, Ohayia. Tell my good brother I said hello.
Oh, I will. I'm sure he's listening.
I know you. So my good brother 06. Good morning to you, Chi. Big shout outs to you. All right, we have to link up at some point too.
Yes, he's busy too, but loving life.
I know that's right.
Yeah, he's my partner in life, even as Ghost. Mark, you mentioned that you wanted to live to 100. I want to live to 100 so we could celebrate a 75th wedding.
Oh, I hear you. I know that's right. I hear you. That's another goal. That's right. I hear you.
Yes. Yep. So that's it.
Well, hopefully, like I said, that's in our cards or in God's plans as well, because, at the end, God has the final control, but we can at least put it out there.
He does. Yes, put it out there. Listen.
That's right.
Listen, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for rising early. Now, you're off to do now. You said you're heading into what appointment now? You're playing what now?
Okay, so, I'm playing pickleball at 8:20.
Pickleball. There you go.
Yeah. Golf was yesterday, pickleball today, and then, I have to rest a little bit, and then I have golf tomorrow.
All right now.
Gotta get it in.
Well, enjoy all of them, and we will be in touch. This is recorded. I will send you the link and the YouTube links and all that kind of stuff, and you can do whatever you want with them once you get them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Tell the boys as well as Chi again, hello.
I will, and you do the same for your family. Okay?
I will. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Take care. Bye now. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley.